Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham is one of India's premier top-ranked universities which focuses on transforming lives through learning, research and innovation. The university was established 19 years ago in the year 2003 and has made significant achievements in a short time. Education for life, education for living. Amrita University is guided by the thoughtfulness of our Chancellor, Amma, who laid down the philosophy of education for life by placing equal stress on education for a living. It is this vision that led to the establishment of a vast network of educational institutions that provide modern education while imparting the traditional values. While the pursuit of academic excellence forms the core of Amrita's success, it also undertakes the responsibility to shape the whole character of youngsters with love, care, and compassion. The university is headquartered at the foothills of the Western Ghats in Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, and has 5 other campuses spread across South India in Amrithapuri, Kerala, Kochi, Kerala, Bengaluru, Karnataka, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, and Mysore, Karnataka. The university will soon launch its new campuses in Amravati, Andhra Pradesh, Faridabad, Delhi, NCR. Our inspiration, a renowned humanitarian leader and spiritual leader, Amma is the Chancellor and guiding light of Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. Amma's concept of education, stress on research, and commitment to instilling universal values have come together to shape Amrita into an institution where the latest achievements and discoveries combined with compassion and service-mindedness. As Amma said in 2010, when the State University of New York presented her with an honorary doctorate in humane letters. Rankings. The multi-campus, multidisciplinary research establishment is ranked as 5th best university in India 2021 by National Institutional Ranking Framework, NIRF. We have also been accorded the status of Institute of Eminence, IOE, by the Ministry of Education, Government of India. A testament to our pursuit of excellence is the NAC A++ accreditation score, the highest possible. NAC accreditation measures universities for excellence in curricular aspects, teaching, learning and evaluation, research, innovations and extension, infrastructure and learning resources, student support and progression, governance, leadership and management, institutional values and best practices, global impact and international collaborations. Among the private educational institutions in the country, Amrita has entered into MOUs and collaborations with more than 450 leading universities around the globe. Students also benefit from our relations with industries and interactions with top management of multinational companies. These collaborations facilitate student exchange programs, student visits, industrial training, and project guidance under reputed corporate entities. Placements. Placements at Amrita have always been best in class, with students usually having more than 1 job offer. Some students have up to 3 job offers by the end of their course from reputed MNCs, be it engineering, management, life sciences, arts or sciences. Amrita is a place where the world's best companies look for talent. More than 200 companies visit the campus every year, and the average salary offered to our students is 5.8 lakh per annum. Meanwhile, the highest package offered is 56.95 lakh per annum, and the highest stipend for internship is rupees 80,000 per month. Amrita's Technology Business Incubator, TBI, is a non-profit supported by the Government of India that funds, mentors, and nurtures ideas by startups and entrepreneurs. It focuses on developing innovations in the areas of information technology, cybersecurity, networking, social media, and more. The TBI startups have obtained multiple awards and recognition, both from India and across the globe. Till date, TBI has incubated more than 75 startups and mentored 216 startup ideas with 0% loss from investments. It funds up to 1 crore rupees per startup and has opened up many more funding options through its partnership with venture capital firms and angel investor networks. Amruta TBI is one of the only 6 incubators selected to be world-class under Niti Aayog's Atal Innovation Mission. Campus life, a home away from home. At Amruta, we believe in a holistic approach towards our students' development. To augment students' classroom learning, all campuses provide students with digital and central libraries, quiet study centers, seminar halls, e-learning studios, computer labs, and campus-wide free Wi-Fi. The university encourages both indoor and games, and there are world-class swimming pools, gymnasiums, stadiums, and games arenas. Various clubs cater to the artistic and scientific minds of the students. If you look around all of Amruta's campuses, you will see the prevailing educational environment is in communion with nature. The sand, the seas, and the sky define the backdrop of these temples of learning. It vibrates with an energy of togetherness and encourages us to live in harmony with everything around us, including a unity within ourselves. This setting is suited to instill both learners and the learned with the courage and wisdom to face the challenges of life. The campus at Ettimadi is considered India's most picturesque. It is like an oasis in a desert. What started out as a barren landscape underwent a miraculous transformation through the university's tree planting project. Today, there are more than 1 lakh trees growing there, the most extensive collection in number and species on a university campus in South India. The Live-in Labs program originated from Amma's idea to bridge the rural and urban divide by sending university students to remote villages in India to understand the everyday difficulties faced by people living there. The program is designed to be a multidisciplinary real-life learning experience offered to both international participants and Amruta University's faculty and students. The lab's objective is to expose youths to day-to-day problems faced in rural communities with a 2-week to 6-month periods of live-in internships in Indian villages. It also aims to inspire them to dedicate the knowledge and skills they acquired at university to help develop practical, cost-effective solutions to the challenges faced by the villages. Researchers at Amruta Vishwa Vidyapeetham partner with senior scientists at world's leading research universities to innovate new ideas and invent new products, applying existing technology towards solving some of the world's most pressing problems, from disaster management to assuring access to education and the management and cure of diseases. This effort reflects in Amruta's national and international research rankings. India's first UNESCO Chair on Women's Empowerment and Gender Equality. Empowerment through Innovation and Technology. The Center for Women Empowerment and Gender Equality is a research-focused academic center for promoting gender equality and fostering women's empowerment with a special focus on using technology and other innovative methods. This center will offer diverse courses in key focus areas, pilot radical ideas, and collaborate with leading universities and institutions. The Amala Bharadam Campaign, ABC, Clean India Campaign was a program pioneered by Amrita, aimed at improving public health and restoring India's physical beauty. The project was launched in 2010 during Amma's 57th birthday celebrations, and through this campaign, volunteers undertake periodic cleaning of roads, markets, temples, government offices, and hospitals. As a part of this campaign, garbage was sorted and either recycled or properly disposed of. Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, along with Kerala's Prisons and Correctional Services and Tamil Nadu Prison Department, initiated Amrita Yoga classes and IIM Technique meditation sessions in 2018 to address and transform the physical, mental, and emotional health of prison inmates. Our goal is to teach yoga and meditation techniques to help the prison inmates become more self-aware. They learn to breathe with awareness and manage emotions through these exercises. Ours is a changing world. It needs people who can adapt to change, with minds that can expand and include change, and yet hold human-friendly values that can withstand all changes. Which is why the world needs education that shapes the minds of these people, and which is why the world needs Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. Education for life, education for living. A university where future is driven by imagination. Experiential learning creates diverse opportunities, where industry exposure and international partnerships help you sail. Come, start your journey towards success with Amrita University.
There's a place where the best minds come together, work to end inequalities, work towards transforming lives. This is a place recognized as one of the world's best universities. This is Amrita, now ranked among the top 100 universities in the world and ranked number 1 in India. Amrita University.
There's a reason why we pick up the highest grades nationally and internationally, year after year after year. That reason is you. Now, with an A++ accreditation from NAC and consistent rankings among the top universities in NIRF, Amrita, we get recognized because you must.
Hi, students. A very happy good evening to everyone present here. So I hope my audio, video both are visible to you. Is both fine? If yes, please do type a yes in the chat box if both are fine. I hope the chat box is visible to you. So yes. So I welcome you all to day 2 of Engineering Foundation program. So just hold on for a minute. I'll just share the screen right away. I hope the screen is also visible. I could not see any one of you have, I can see that you have not typed anything in the chat box. So Yes, it's completely fine. I hope everything is fine. If there is any missing, you can just put a message in the chat box. So yesterday we were discussing about a physics topic, electricity and magnetism. So today we'll discuss something related to physics. Sorry, to mathematics. So it's probability. That's today's topic. I have a feeling that most of the students here may not be a good fan of mathematics. Like you may not be that good in mathematics, so you may not be loving that subject. I think so, because when I was a kid, maybe not a kid, even in my school, it's like maybe in my degree or maybe in my PG, I was not a fan of mathematics. I was not into that subject much. I used to study it because I just want to get some good mark in it. So just like I want to pass the subject. So that's how my part of mathematics is. So I wish to specify a point to all of you. You need to have a very good base in mathematics if you wish to excel in any field, whatever career field it may be. You have to have a very good in your mathematics. So your mathematics has to be very strong. I would tell you the reason. We all know that science and mathematics is used to describe the world around us, maybe used to describe the nature around us. So once you understand the importance of mathematics, then I would say you'll by default start falling in love with the subject. So just love the subject, start understanding things, start reading things more deeper. Then you'll feel like, yeah, it's okay. I'm good in mathematics. I'll start studying this subject. This is how you should develop an interest in the subject called mathematics, because it's very important in our day-to-day activities, maybe in different careers. I would say those people who feel like, yeah, I'll take this subject because this is completely theory. There is no math in it. But when it comes to applications related part of that subject, there will be a lot of mathematics that you need to have an understanding. Or maybe unknowingly, you will be using the subject of mathematics. So yes, I would wish any one of you to type whatever you have an understanding about the concept of probability in the chat box. What is probability? Maybe the definition of probability, what you know about probability. So the chat box is open and you can type your basic definition about probability. I would say it's a very interesting topic. It's really fun to learn the subject called probability. And there are different, or I would say a lot of ways in which we as individuals are using probability in our day-to-day activities. But we have not realized it maybe. It's a fascinating field. It's very fun to learn, and it's also interesting. So today we'll be discussing a lot of things in detail with probability, about the basic definition that you have studied in your school, maybe about some of the basic formulas, very basic formulas, not going into deeper ones that you have studied, and about the application. So we'll be concentrating mostly on the part which is called the applications. So when you feel like your life is not in an ordered manner, or you feel like, yeah, I'm tired of things, I would say if you have a problem, you can use the concept of mathematics to break down the problem. Maybe you can use this mathematics to solve real life issues also. This is how the probability works out in your daily life. If a person is really having a good knowledge in mathematics, it can make a lot of difference in their lives. If you know how to do these things, how to make assumptions, how to put together these things to get a good idea, maybe to get a good solution. There is mathematics, but we are not identifying it. So what's the definition of probability? It's a mathematical term which mostly talks about the likelihood of something happening. It's always about how something will happen. Will it happen? Or it's just a question mark. Ability to understand or predict an outcome, whether this thing will happen or whether this thing will not happen. So we have to have an understanding what is likely to happen and what is not likely to happen, whether it will work. So when you have an understanding, it's like when you have these are the options or these are the things that's going to happen, you can make sound decisions in your day-to-day activities. I would give you some examples, basic examples that your teacher told you in your school. Something like, it will probably rain today. Yeah, it's going to rain today. Or I think he will pass the examination, at least in this attempt. So all these are some statements which are passing something related to the probability to the other person. I feel like today night it will be raining. I feel like there will be lightning also. And maybe we'll say that, yeah, it's like for the past 2 weeks, it was okay. The price was less for a particular item in the market. I have a feeling that maybe in the next week, the price will be high. So these are all examples of probability that's there with us. Every day we are using it, or every day we are discussing about it, but we are not having an understanding about it. It's like we'll not be performing the actual probability problems. We'll not be taking a notebook and writing P of A equal to something divided by something, or P of A by B. We will not be doing that things. What we are using, or what we use, is something called the subjective probability. What it can be subjective probability. It's like I want to take a judgment. I want to do an action. So I have a lot of things with me. I'm just going to analyze the things. I'm going to understand what's the probability of this happening, or of the other one happening, of the two things happening. Then I'll take a decision, or I'll take a course of action. This is how probability is there in our life. I hope you have, it was a long introduction, I think. So you have received an idea about the basic concept of probability, why it is important. Now we'll move on to the definitions. It is a branch of mathematics that deals with the occurrence of a random event. Probability can be called as a branch of mathematics that deals with the occurrence of a random event. Or we call it as the measure of likelihood of an event to occur. It's like the possibility of an event to occur, or the measurement of a possibility of an event. So all these are different definitions of probability. The actual part is whether it will happen or not. That's what the question. Maybe we'll measure it in percentage, or maybe we'll express it in numbers, right? Mostly in the ranges, we'll express it from 0 to 1, maybe in percentage from 0 to 100. So this is the way we'll express probability. So I think we'll move into further details. So what's the mathematical definition of probability? This is something which you have studied in your school. You have been doing different problems with this. So what's the definition of probability? So the probability of an event is defined as the ratio of number of favorable outcomes divided by the total number of cases. It's like how many favorable outcomes are there divided by the total number of outcomes. It's just for something like the probability of an event to happen. We'll just describe it as P of E. So that's what the probability is. It's there in every field around us. Whenever there is something related to a decision making, probability is always there. We started in our textbook with the example tossing coin. Maybe you are just rolling a dice, maybe picking up a card. So all these are the basic example. You have started from that coin flipping. Maybe now probabilities end as something called AI. So see the range. Probability is there in just tossing a coin, or rolling a dice, or maybe in weather prediction or something. It's there in all the technologies. I would say it's there in intrusion detection. It's there in artificial intelligence. It's there with machine learning. I would say the computer science people, those people who are really interested in computer science, those people who wish to write programs, you should have a knowledge about probability, about the prediction, about the analysis. When you have the set of things, you have two things which is likely to happen. You need to predict whether this will happen or not. So yes, we'll be discussing about all of them in detail today. And I would say there are different forms of probability. Sometimes when answering to some questions, we'll say, I'm sure that it's certain. I'm sure it's certain. So it's like 100%. I think there is very less chance. I think it's uncertain. I think it will not happen. So all these are different forms of probability that's there in our day-to-day life, or all these are different types of probability that we'll be discussing in our day-to-day life. Yes, we'll move on. I would say probability, it's everything. Everything can be called as a possibility of whether it may work or it may not work. So everything is a possibility, or everything is a probability. You may be thinking whether if I'm taking a lottery this week, is there any chance that I may win? It's the basic common thinking of a person. It's just an example of probability. You are just thinking about the mathematics, about the probability of getting good marks in the examination, about the probability of passing the subject, about the probability of winning a lottery. So all these are some of the examples. So you are thinking about mathematics without purely thinking about it. So I hope these are some of the examples that you have studied in your school. So yes, I think nobody has typed anything in the chat box. I think up to this, everybody is having a clear idea. Now we'll start with the basic definitions or basic examples of what we are using probability in our daily life. So the first one is obviously the basic example that every kid starts with when they hear the term probability. It's flipping a coin or rolling a dice. So the concept of learning probability starts with a flipped coin. One of the simplest forms of example, where it's like you have a head or you have a tail. So not only in classroom, I would say a flipped coin plays a lot more roles in different sectors. I would say in sports and before the event starts, it's like there is something called tossing, which team to bat first, which team to ball first. It's like a 50-50 probability for everyone. So it's just 1/2 or a 50 probability that this team may win or this team may win. So that's the basic idea. It can be either a head or a tail, or maybe it's 1 out of 2. That's the basic probability. Now, when it comes to something related to a dice, we know out of 6 chances, maybe the 1. It may be 1, 2, or 3, or anything. So while playing with the dice also, you are experiencing the concept of probability. I know you have done a lot more problems related to different probabilities, conditional probability. Maybe you have studied about the distributions also, binomial distribution, exponential, different types of distribution. So we'll be discussing about them also today. So yes, moving forward, the second part which is there in our daily life is weather forecasting. So this is also a common example, right? How many of you have heard about the statement? There is 60% chance the rain may occur. So what is that 60%? How many of you know what is the 60%? So probability has a very important role when it comes to forecasting the weather. So this is being used by weather forecasters to access or to identify how likely there will be rain, there will be clouds, there will be thunder, maybe on a particular day and a particular time, or maybe in a given day in a certain area. So all these are some of the factors which they are considering. So why this probability forecast or this weather forecast is really important? Because it's something like identifying the risk factors, or maybe the evaluation of the hazards. Whether there will be snow, whether there will be landslides, whether there will be typhoons, or whether there will be different calamities that will happen. So it's just like a prediction. A small example, it's like whenever we are planning for a family outing, we'll just check the climate, right? Or maybe if you are planning for a bike ride, maybe on a Sunday, we'll surely check for the climate, whether it's sunny, whether it's okay, or is it something like whether they have already predicted heavy rains. So if something like that happens, maybe we'll postpone our trip, or maybe we will just wait for some more time. Maybe we'll delay what we plan to do. So this is something which is really important, which helps us to make some other decisions in our life. And there may be something like you heard in newspapers for the recent rains which is happening here in Tamil Nadu. So it's like for the 2 days, because of this, rains will happen, and mostly it will happen after 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. or maybe at night it will be raining. So how many of you feel like how they come with a point like 60% or with a range, something like 60% or 80% or 25%? How they have come to a particular percentage or a particular number? Are there any students who are having an idea how they have analyzed or how they have come to a conclusion of a number? If yes, do type in the chat box. It's like they'll say there is 80% probability that it will rain today. There is 80% or there is 90% probability that our results will come today. So where does this number or this count come from? Whether it's 60 or 80 or 90. So I would say when it comes to predicting these weathers, what they'll do is they'll take an analysis of the previous data. So if it's like during the past times or when the days with similar weather conditions, out of maybe 100, about 80% of the time, or 80 out of 100 days it ended up raining. So that's the factor, or that's the number that they took, and that's mentioning the 80% or the 60%. So we have people who study these weather conditions with the help of different technologies, different devices, even with different algorithms. So they use all these things. So these people will collect a huge database. It's like they use a variety of devices and technologies to predict the weather. So they'll have a huge global database with all the weather forecasts. What has happened on that year, that day, this time. So they'll have a huge database with all the details. They collect this information, the weather information, worldwide. It's like whenever we want to predict something, we'll have to look up into the previous data. So they'll have the historical database of all the days with the similar temperature, with similar humidity, or with similar conditions, with similar pressure. So once they consider all these factors, they'll be able to predict whether what is the probability of maybe the result announcement or something. So this is how it is working, and this is how the number comes into picture. So now moving on, we have something called the insurance policy. This is also a very, very common example. Maybe most of you are having an idea. So if you have any doubts till now, you can directly use the chat box. You can type there. So insurance, I would say it's a very great example, or a real life example of probability. These insurance companies use the theory of probability for framing a policy, or maybe they have to complete that particular policy at a premium rate. So we have to end that policy at a particular rate. And even I would say probability helps you in understanding the best plan. There are different number of plans, right? Different number of insurance plans. So probability helps you in understanding the best plan which suits your family, or maybe your mother, or your husband, or what the members are, what are the members are. So they'll also help in analyzing which plan is best, and which plan can provide more coverage and all. So why we are into these insurance policies? Because we are afraid of something that's happening. It's like we are afraid maybe about the loss, about the accident, about the theft, about the damage. So as we are afraid, we have a feeling that I don't know whether it's like I'm not having a car, so it's okay, I don't need a car insurance. But the moment I buy a car, I start driving, my possibility of getting into an accident has changed from 0. The percentage has changed from 0, and it's changed into a number. So I need to secure myself, I need to secure my vehicle. So we have the feeling of something negative that will happen, the fear of something negative that will happen. So we want to secure ourselves, our property, everything. So that's why we pay them, we do this insurance. We'll quickly look into some examples, something like the car, which we have already mentioned. And most of the statistics have shown that those kids who are with the age, or those male persons who are with the age from 18 to maybe 25, they're more prone to accidents. And so they are more into this automobile insurance. So that's the first one. The second one is something called medical insurance. So it is also considering different factors. So if you are an active smoker, there is a chance that you may get lung disease. So it's really important for you to get insured. Or maybe something like if you are maybe alcoholic person, or a regular alcoholic person. So it's also important for you to get into a health insurance. And for these persons who are having a previous history of these diseases or any diseases, they'll have to pay more to get the insurance. So it's like every hospital or every insurance company, they'll consider a lot of factors. Maybe your age is one, maybe your medical history, what's your current statistics. Even they will ask you to do certain tests also to give you the insurance, to certain tests to provide you the insurance, to confirm whether it's okay for their company to provide you the insurance. Another one, I would say, getting our mobile phones insured. It's costly, and we know that we have the fear that something bad will happen to it, or there is a chance that the screen may break, a lot of things may happen. So we'll get it insured. Something like travel insurance, those people who are going abroad and all. So they, even if it's cancelled, even if something happens, even if my luggage is lost, a lot of things comes under it, right? So those people will also think about the insurance policy. So there are different criteria or different aspects when it comes to the insurance policies. Now, the next one is politics. It's also very common, and we all have an idea about it. when the elections are published, when the dates are published, it's like the whole TV channels and newspapers will have news about it. So probability analysts or these political persons, they use the exit poll to measure the probability of winning or losing of a candidate or maybe of different political parties. It's like there is a chance that this party A may win. This is the probability, maybe 80%. There is a chance that in this particular locality, party B may win with this much percentage of votes. How they are doing it, same method. They have a historical data of how these people have put their vote or how they have voted towards a particular party. Maybe about the current scenario, they'll have to consider that also about the poll rate or about the some issues that has happened, about the debates between different parties, and considering all these factors with the previous database, they have predicted it. So it's also used, this probability technique is also used to predict the result of voting after an election. Now, the next one is something called medicine. We never thought of doctors are using concept of probability. So doctors use all kinds of mathematical techniques in their daily practice so that they'll be able to treat the patients efficiently. So they are also thinking, or they are also depending upon the concept called probability. It's a very good example because it's dealing with the lives of people. So it's like when somebody comes to you with maybe a cough or maybe a throat pain, you have to identify what it is. Is it something like doctors always used to tell the terms like false positive and false negative. So they have to understand, as they're dealing with a lot of patients, they have to be really cautious in understanding what is the thing. Or what is the rate that this can happen? What's the rate that this can turn to this disease? Or I would say, when I have prescribed somebody a surgery, it's like the success rate. It's a minor surgery, but the success rate is this. We all will check that, right? Before performing a surgery, we all will check that with our doctor also. And even I would say, when a doctor prescribes the medicine, it's just like a course, maybe 3 days, 5 days, or 7 days, or 10 days, or 2 weeks. They'll say something like this, right? So they'll also think about the person, how the person is. They are also depending upon the probability technique. It's like, are there any risk factors? They'll consider how much time it will take for this particular person to cure this particular disease to cure. How much time it will take. Here also they are using something called the concept of probability. So we have discussed about different sectors where the concept of probability is being used. Now I think we'll move on. Another sector is sports. This also I think most of the people are having an idea about. So the coaches use probability to decide the best possible strategy to pursue in a game. So when it's like it's the football season, so a lot of students will be having an idea about it. So which strategy this team has to adopt when they are playing opposite to this particular team. So always the trainers use the concept of probability to understand the capacity of a team as well as a player. It's something like analysis is conducted with the help of probability to understand the strength and the weakness of a particular team player. So it's like my team is having this much positives, which is making it a strong team. But these are the drawbacks. So we need to improve from this drawback to get the cup. I would say when it comes to cricket, a cricket coach always evaluates the players batting and the bowling. So it's like how he should be in the lineup. This is based on his performance. So the coach will be considering all the previous performance, what's his average performance and all the previous matches before. So it's like whether we need to include him in the team. A lot of factors are there, right? I would say if a batsman has hit 100 and in the past some matches, and in all those matches, he has scored about 40% of runs through boundaries, then there is a chance that in the next match also, he may hit 100, but there is a chance that his 40% of score is already through this boundaries. So this is how in sports, this evaluation is being made. So to make somewhat informed guess about whether a team will win or whether a team will lose, or maybe about whether a player will be in the team or not. So here all probability plays a very important role. And I hope all of you know the concept of batting average. Here also it's based on how many runs a batsman would score before getting out. So this is also completely based on the concept of probability. Now I think Yes, we have another example. It's called the spotting and solving problems in e-commerce marketing. What is this spotting called? It's like just identifying. Spotting means identifying. So here, what we are going to do is we are going to collect data about the business. So when it comes to marketing, they need to have a lot of data, right? To calculate the possibility or to calculate the methods in which they'll be able to improve their marketing strategies. They'll be able to improve their business. So there is an example. A data shows that there is a probability of 53% that the customer will abandon a shopping cart before checkout. So it's like there will be a lot of items in the cart, but the customer will not be purchasing it. It's like they'll just move to something else. So here I would say there are a lot of email campaigns, a lot of emails will be blasted to these customers about their carts, about the items in their carts. We all are facing it, right? Whenever we have items in our water site, it may be water app, it may be. So we'll get some messages or some notifications saying these items are in your cart. This is the last day to order this the offer. So there are a lot of techniques that's being used by this marketing people. I would say what the team have identified is the probability of the follow-up emails being opened is 47%. See the range. We are sending them a follow-up email, but the probability of opening it is 47%, which is much higher than the e-commerce team or the marketing team sending a first email to them. So when they are saying that this offer is starting or this thing is starting, when we are sending a mail like that, the percentage of people who are opening it or the probability of people who are opening it is very less. But when it comes to something like reminder, I would say your cart misses you. I always used to get that notification. So in that, the probability of the message getting opened is very high. So you will be able to identify a problem and you will be able to find out the best solution to it also. So this is also an application of the concept of probability. Now moving on, yes, you all know about cryptocurrencies, right? So the concept of probability is there with buying cryptocurrencies also. So if you think about buying cryptocurrency, you need to think whether after extraction, if you have extracted the number of coins, maybe whether it's dead coins. So what's the chance? Here, when it comes to crypto or when it comes to, I would say, stocks or mutual funds, you need to consider a lot of factors. Maybe when it comes to investment. So it's always risky. There is a probability that sometimes the price will drop down, sometimes it will increase. So there are a lot of factors that you need to consider. Here also probability comes into picture. So for the past 6 months, I have invested in this company and this is the thing that has happened. So maybe in this month, this will repeat. Maybe last year, this month, this has repeated. So maybe in this year, this will repeat. So a lot of things need to be considered and probability has a role to play in it. So individuals can decide based on the probabilities or based on the analysis they have done, whether they should buy or whether they should quit it. It's like they should avoid it. Now, another example is sales forecasting. This is also a very important part. It's like most of the companies, I would say this is mostly occurring with the retail companies. They would predict in the coming 6 months, this much amount of goods or this much amount of products need to be there with them. It's like our stocks will be, otherwise our stocks will be run out by this month, this week or this day. So you need to have an analysis about all these things. So this sales forecasting or this concept of probability helps or allows the companies to predict how much inventory they will need for the coming year or how much inventory they'll need for the coming 6 months. These are some of the areas where the probability, the concept of probability plays a very huge or very important role. Now moving on, these are some of the other areas. I would say the first one is staffing. It's like I need to determine how I have to schedule my workers in a company. It's like I'm working in 3 shifts, I'm working in 2 shifts. So I need to schedule the staffs, which all people will work on the day. On a particular day, if it's Sunday, how many people? So in that staffing, probability plays a role. Maybe you need to have an understanding about the customers who will visit maybe your shop or maybe your company on that day. So the second one is predicting disaster. So different environmental departments across different states, across our country, use the probability to determine how likely this disaster will occur. It's like whether it's earthquake, whether it's landslide, or whether it's flood. It's like for the continuously 3 to 4 years, continuously there was floods in Kerala. So these departments have predicted it. Why predicting is important? Is there anything to do with the predicting? It's really important because there may be something that will happen. So we have to prevent our people from losing their lives. Maybe we have to plan the evacuation. So this prediction is important, and it is completely depending upon the concept called the probability. Now the next one is traffic. This is also a quite easy example that we have seen, right? It's like when it's Sunday during this time, there will not be traffic. When it's a working day, it's morning and evenings, it's school and office time, so it will be traffic. So it's like we use probability to predict based on how bad the traffic will be, maybe based on a working day, maybe a holiday, based on the timing. If it's on a working day, if it's at 2 to 3, the traffic will be very less. So a lot of things we'll predict, a lot of assumptions we'll make, and it's a part of probability. And the second, the fourth one, we have already mentioned it, right? The chance of winning the lottery or the games. What's the chance of winning the lottery or the games? What's the probability? Here also probability plays a very important role. Then event planning. Have you ever thought, I'm planning an event, this many people will come to the event, this is the way I'll arrange the things, arrange the stay, arrange all the supplies that are needed for these persons. So it plays a role in event planning also. Now, when it comes to shopping recommendations, it's also being used by a lot of our applications. So when you purchase a product, just right after that, you'll get some notification, or you'll just get a just maybe a pop-up message. Yes, this is there in your cart, or this is something which is having an offer. It's because the systems predict, or these business systems understand your customer behavior. They are studying you. So they understand you so well, in a fact that they'll think that, yeah, you will make the next purchase in this many days. And they'll give you notifications and messages in such a way that they'll be able to do it. A small example is something like, if I'm shopping, this is a common example which we used to say, if I'm shopping for maternity clothes now, maybe after 9 months, I'll shop some baby products also. So it's just the basic habit. They are predicting based on my shopping habits. So these are some of the common examples of probability that maybe you are already having an idea about. I think I have a question from somebody in the chat box. Maybe towards the end of the session, I'll just give you reply. Okay. It's from Anaga. You will be able to download the certificate of EFP after the quest is completed from the same portal in which you have, from the same portal through which you have joined this event. And I would say for all the workshops that are already completed, the certificate will be there in the same portal itself. Now, I think we'll move towards the very important part of today's session. So I have especially taken the area of computer science for today's discussion, because it's very important, and a lot of students are very much interested into the area of computer science nowadays. So I'll not be able to say a particular area. I'll not be able to name a particular area in computer science where probability is not there. So those students who are here who wish to be future computer science engineer, be careful. This is something which you need to have with you. So when it comes to computer science, I have listed some names here. We'll be discussing all of them. Probability is there with intrusion detection system. It's there in optimizing the compilers. It's there in reputation systems, data compression, cryptography, cryptanalysis or cryptography. It's there in randomization of algorithms. So all these are the different areas which you as computer science people are going to work with. So how many of you heard the term intrusion detection system? How many of you have an idea about what this concept is? Can anybody type what's intrusion detection system? Can anybody type what is intrusion detection system? I hope at least some of you have heard about this term. I would call this as an application, or maybe as a device that monitors the network or a whole system for any malicious activity. So if any activity, it's the basic idea is we are watching a network, or we are watching a system, monitoring it for any activity. It's like whether somebody is intruding into your system, whether somebody is trying to take something from your system, maybe some data and all. So if any activity is detected, you'll have to report it to maybe the central authority or maybe the administrator. That's what the basic idea. in these systems, you need to analyze a lot of things. You need to understand the probability, whether this will happen, whether that will happen. For that, you need probability. Now, the second one is something called the reputation system. It's something like, how many of you have heard about peer-to-peer communication? It mostly happens in the peer-to-peer networking or the routing systems where we share the resources. Where we have, or I'll assign one part or one based on probability, maybe one pole or maybe one device based on the probability. So the device will have some protocol. It has to work with that protocol itself. It's like what all actions it has to do, what all steps it has to take. So here also, I need to focus on it, what it's doing, whether it's based on the protocol, whether it will do something else. Here also, probability comes into picture. Now, moving on, the next one is something called optimizing compilers. It's like, how am I going to code this thing, or how am I going to organize my code so that I have written a program, how that program will be executed in the highest speed, or how I'll be able to execute this program in this particular speed. So in that area also, in these optimizing compilers also, the probability plays a very important role. Now, the next one is something called data compression. I know everybody has an idea about the concept of, yes, I'll be replying to all your queries maybe towards the end of the session. When it comes to data compression, we all know it, right? Maybe we have a file, any file, maybe a JPG or whatever, JPEG, or maybe any file, maybe any color format. You need to change the format into something. Maybe it can be for faster decoding, it can be for faster transfer. So in this area also, the concept of probability plays a very important role. Now, another one is cryptography. I know everybody is into the crypto part, right? How am I going to enable a secure communication when I know I'm transferring something, maybe a packet or maybe a data in a network which has some intruders or which has some third parties? So how am I going to do it? Here also, I'll take the help of probabilistic algorithms, which is I would say is already a part of the cryptography or the cryptographic technique, in which I will use the technique where the third party faces some difficulty to eavesdrop to my system, or a third party will face some difficulty to get into my communication system. That is also another example. That's with the cryptography. Now, coming to randomization. Randomization is something in which I'll be able to confuse. It's like, I would not say it's very secure, but the thing is that I'll be able to create some passwords. Maybe I'll create it with a lot more digits or a lot more numbers or anything. So I'll be able to create it in such a way that I'll be able to confuse the third party, or I'll be able to confuse somebody who is trying to eavesdrop. So here in all these areas, these are very important areas related to the computer science. So in all these areas, probability plays a very important role. Now, moving on, you have networks. When it comes to computer networks, I need to find out what is the probability that the packet I have sent to a receiver is transmitted on this, I would say not reliable. Okay, I would say in that unreliable link, how this packet is transferred and how I can make sure that it has reached its destination correctly, or it has reached its receiver correctly. Or maybe I would be able to predict the performance, about the system performance of a particular network, about the whole performance. If there are any errors that is happening, if there is anything that is not working according to the protocol. So it's like I have covered a lot of areas which is related to the computer science. So in all these areas, probability is really important. So the future computer science engineers, study your probability lessons with a lot of love. Try to understand things that's happening. Okay. Now, moving on to the very important part of today's session. Probability has a very important role in AI. I know it's the hyped term. Everybody's having an understanding about what is artificial intelligence, or what is machine learning, what is natural language processing, what is computer vision. So all these are the top terms, or the hyped terms now, where you'll have an idea about the basic idea, what is artificial intelligence. It's like I want to make my computer system intelligent. I want to embed, or I want to simulate some human intelligence into my machine, especially my computer systems. I would say all the parts that I have mentioned, the machine learning, or whether it's natural language processing, or whether it's speech recognition, or whether it's the vision. So what are these terms? It's all a part, or it's all comes under the subject called the artificial intelligence. Now, what is machine learning? It's like generating intelligence or providing the machine intelligence. That's what the basic concept. What can be machine learning? How many of you know what is machine learning? I'm waiting for your reply in the chat box. So those students who have an idea about the concept of machine learning, you can just type it in the chat box. So machine learning, I would say it's a subfield of artificial intelligence. Even natural language processing is also a part of artificial intelligence. So here it's defined as the capability of a machine to imitate the human intelligence. How a machine is planning to imitate the human behavior. How a machine is going to work in such a way that it will take decisions in a way humans are taking a decisions, or it will solve problems in a way in which humans are solving the problems. Now, what can be natural language processing? So I'll just give you idea about all these three terms, then we'll move forward. So we have covered artificial intelligence, we have covered machine learning. Now the second one is natural language processing. How the system and humans are interacting. We know what is artificial intelligence, what is machine learning. So how this interaction is happening between this human and this machines. It's something like they have to analyze huge amount of data, and which is called as the natural language data. It works with analyzing huge amount of data, which is called as the natural language data. So probabilistic algorithms are a part of all these three. So you have to write codes which will contain, or which will use all the theories, or all the distributions, all the functions that you have studied maybe in your 10th or 9th itself. I think it starts from 10th, the concept of probability, I think it starts from 10th. So it deals with the ambiguity of the natural language. The natural language processing deals with the ambiguity of the natural language. How many of you have heard the term ambiguous? It's really confusion. But the meaning is something like confusing, or it's something like there are a lot of things. Maybe one thing is this, the other thing is this, or it's like more than one meaning. So there are different things which are having more than one meaning. So I don't know which one to depend on, or which one to predict, or which one to use. So natural language processing can convert this ambiguity to, I would say, non-ambiguous, or can clear this ambiguity. That's also a part of natural language processing. It's like how automated it is working. Now here I have listed out something. It includes learning, problem solving, uncertainty, reasoning. So it's like AI is a field which is categorized into, or which contains all these parts. See, it has learning, it has problem solving, it has uncertain knowledge, it has reasoning, it has knowledge representation, it has communication. So it's just a combination of all these three things, means all these five things. There is learning, there is problem solving, there is uncertain knowledge and reasoning, there is knowledge representation and reasoning, there is communication. I'm not going into much detail into each one of them. So yes, I would like to give you some idea. Maybe the binomial distribution, the exponential distribution, maybe the random variables that you have studied, maybe the conditional probability equations that you have studied, maybe the dependencies or the independence that you have studied. All these terms, the base of probability is there in the programming when it comes to AI. So this is really important. Now we can just have a look at this diagram. So I have detailed the different parts here. So when it comes to probability, or the chain rule, or the Bayes distribution, see the different parts or the different uses in the sectors like artificial intelligence or machine learning or the natural language processing. So when it comes to artificial intelligence, I hope you have heard about the Bayesian network. It's like it's also a part of a probabilistic program. So that it's like, I would say, to take up decisions from maybe huge amount of data, or to take up decisions using different models. So here there is something called reasoning and decision making. It's a part of artificial intelligence. Now, when it comes to machine learning, there is something called generation, classification, or estimation. I would say all this happen based on different models. I would say there is state-based model, learning model, logic-based model. So different subs or different models are there. Even Bayesian network model, different models are there. So it will work based on these models. So when it comes to the machine learning part, there is generation, classification, as well as estimation. Now, the next one is natural language processing. So when it comes to the natural language processing part, there is language modeling, there is parts of speech, there is there is speech recognition, and there is machine translation. So all these are some of the areas or the parts. Now, I think I'll discuss two more things today. How many of you have heard about probability theory and information theory? Both of them deals with uncertainty. I would say something of similar sort of meaning of the ambiguity. It's like we are not certain about this or that, or why this. It's like not having a fixed idea. So the probability theory allows us to make uncertain statements, and also reason is important. It's in the presence of uncertainty. What about information theory is they measure the disorder in the probability distribution, or they measure the uncertainty in the distribution that has happened. So there are different types of data sources and different kinds of data that is used in the AI applications, because we have to train or we have to work with different data. We have to test with different data. We have to have different data sets. So we can draw these data through the different distributions. These are some of the distributions that you have studied. Maybe if you have not studied it in your 12th, you will study it obviously in your BTech first year mathematics. So there is normal distribution, Poisson distribution, Bernoulli or binomial distribution, exponential. So I would say probability is a very, very important topic, even for all the engineering backgrounds. It's like you will study a paper in this subject. And once you have all these data sets, or once you have all these data through these distributions, you can use different functions and you can use different probability concepts. It's like you can find out your own distributions, you can find out your own testing samples, you can train your own data sets and you can test them. Now, what about probability in machine learning? Mostly it is based on different algorithms, something called machine learning algorithm or generative algorithm or classification algorithm. So I have listed here maybe 5 or 6 points. So the first one is classification models must predict a probability of class membership. Maybe some terms are difficult for you to understand. I also think that, but it's okay. You'll study about these things. So understand that if it's related to algorithms, they are designed using probability. I would say naive Bayes is there. If it's learning algorithms also, or if it's decision making also, it's based on the data sets, it's based on the probability. If it's based on the training also, it's based on probability. If it's based on different generation also, it is based on probability. So it plays a very important role in machine learning. Now moving on to natural language processing, I would say probability theory is applied in different parts. I would say the first one is n-grams. It's something like a data type or a simple meaning. For you to understand, you can understand it as a data model or a data part or a data type. Now language modeling, maybe conditional language modeling or text classification, whether it's email or spam, maybe about the parts of speech, about speech recognition, maybe machine translation, information extraction, maybe different processes. So all these are very hyped terms, are very important terms under the concept of artificial intelligence, which comes under machine learning and natural language processing. So it plays a very important role, and all this works with the base probability principles that you have studied in your school. So I think I have come to an end towards today's session. If there is any query, you can just type it in the chat box. So I think regarding the certificates, I have already cleared it. We'll have a small test based on all the topics that we have covered in the sessions for the 4 days. And you will have that EFP quiz, the foundation program quiz, on the final day. And on the final day, we'll have a discussion with our alumni who has completed his mechanical engineering, working in an EV company and working as a data scientist. So be ready with your questions. If you have, or if you wish to know more details about all these sectors, he'll be really happy to answer to all of you. So be ready with the queries, and please do check out what we have studied in these 2 classes. Maybe the first class yesterday, the electricity and magnetism concept, and today the probability concept, because you'll have a quiz with the questions from whatever we have discussed. So thank you so much, students, for attending. If there is anything, you can just type it in the chat box. And regarding the certificates, you'll be able to download it from the same portal in which you are joining the session. It will be activated only 2 days after the foundation program quiz is over. So yes, I hope that's it. So thank you, students, for attending. I hope this session is useful. If you have any queries, you can directly contact me You can just mail me or even you can contact me. You can note down this number. You can take a screenshot of it. You can note down this number and this mail ID. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Have a nice day.
And on this,